I'm not gonna let you watch that. We gotta watch the whole rest of the video first. Let's get into it. All right, so we are up underneath the car right now, and we're going to look at this exhaust system and see exactly what made it sound so bad. So check this out. All right, right up here, you've got your downpipe, not too bad. But at some point in its life, it looks like we've had work done. And whenever they cut something or added something else, they had to put in a spacer there. So some quality welding work on that. But we have some stuff done there. Back over here, we have our resonator, and you can see our first major culprit. It looks like water must have piled up underneath there. Found a thin section and poked a hole so that all the exhaust would come out and say hello early. All right, following that around, we have a series of holes. Oh, let's find them. 1, 2, 3. This one right here is a crack looking like it's ready to just let go. Here's another one here, okay? And we come around here and bam, there's the worst one right there. Again, that's the exhaust getting to us early. Up and over the rear control arm, we've got some more issues up here. Finally, more Lego work. We've got several different seams, and this is my favorite bit right here. Nope, not that, but this right here. Wow, that's fantastic. All right, so I originally got underneath here to figure out what I could patch, and this system is not salvageable. There's no way, it's just not worth putting any time into. So, kind of rearranging some plans. Instead of going with the turbo engine first and doing a whole new exhaust system following that, I'm gonna pull out all the exhaust parts I already have, the kit that I've got to make my own custom system, and I picked up some headers also to stick on this engine right now. So, everything from the headers to the muffler is getting replaced. Let's get to looking at those parts so I can show you the plan. I'm gonna go over these in a little bit of a reverse order, starting at the back, working my way to the front. So first up is a MagnaFlow offset muffler. This is the 2.5 inch to 2.5 inch input and output. I have a 2.5 inch exhaust kit, stainless steel 065, or at least pretty close to 065 wall. I also have a box full of smaller parts, everything from V-band clamps to another new resonator and a high flow catalytic converter. And then over here you can kind of see I already have my flex joint. I've started working on my downpipe, getting the V-band clamp welded onto that. And then also the headers that I purchased. But right here, this is kind of a crucial part of the system. This is where my V-band clamp is gonna go, where when I do put the turbo engine in the car, the header setup, well, the headers are gonna feed into the turbo, and the turbo's downpipe is gonna come in attached to this same V-band clamp on the remaining side of the car. So that's how I'm gonna be able to salvage most of the system when I do go with the turbo setup. Okay, so I am, well, let's see really quick here before I even start guessing. Yeah, this is about 1.75 inches. So my new system is all 2.5 inch. Actually, the header starts out right around 2 inches, and then I have a fitting to step up the size from 2 inch to 2.5 inch exhaust, and the entire rest of the setup is all 2.5 inch. I am not going for loud. I'm going for a little bit more. What I'm hoping is reserved, clean, kind of a low note exhaust system, and with the resonator that I'm going to put on there, it should take out some of the harshness that I've heard in other Honda setups. At least that's what I'm hoping. And the muffler should provide, you know, some smoothness to it as well, especially being MagnaFlow. I've seen good things with that. So I'm excited to get into it. Let's get to work finally and start pulling this old system off. Okay, now is as good as time as any to kind of go over the progress and take a little intermission from the build. So I have my headers installed, I've got my downpipe. This downpipe specifically came with an O2 bung already installed. I've got a V-band clamp. Like I said, I was gonna separate, this is gonna be the fixed part of my exhaust, this isn't gonna change, but when I do the engine swap to go to my turbo setup, I'll be building the exhaust back out, the downpipe back out to this V-band clamp. I've got my flex joint in place. Next is my catalytic converter. Then I've got this resonator here, and I've got these exhaust hangers, and they came straight, but I formed them. I have two of them with basically a jog bend, and they're gonna go on either side of the exhaust pipe like that. Then, rounding out to the back, the exhaust path that the stock setup took has a 90 here and a 90 here. So what it is, I took one of my U-joint pieces and I cut that other 90 because the other actual 90 piece is gonna be a lot better to use back over there. So my plan is to run it straight, get over the rear suspension components, and then back to the muffler and right at the back of the car. So things are going good, we're over halfway done. The welds are looking nice, the material's welding really well. Let's keep it going. Okay, so we're in pretty good shape. The entire exhaust system comes down to roughly 3 parts. You've got your headers and downpipe that feed into this, which I'm calling kind of the main run that takes the exhaust from the front to the back of the car. We've got a couple of 90s jogging it towards the rear, up and over that rear suspension geometry. We have our muffler and then our exhaust tip. So that's the whole system. Everything is tacked in place. You probably saw in some of the clips earlier that I did have to bust out the MIG welder and tack some stuff in place. It just ran out of hands to hold it. So with all that being said, it's back to getting everything back over here on the table, firing up the TIG welder and finishing up all the welding. Okay, so the exhaust has been installed. It's fully welded up. It's all in place. All the hangers are there. V-band clamps are on. The O2 sensors are plugged in. Everything's ready to go. So let's go over it really quick before I play the before and after clip for you. And yeah, let's kind of talk about some of the challenges and some of the things I ran across getting it done. All right, so this is kind of a short little walkthrough. Like you've seen before, I've got my downpipe here. Now this downpipe comes with this O2 sensor port that sits on top of it, and this O2 sensor gets, you know, dangerously close to the CV joint of my driver's side axle there. So the car is not going to stay with this setup for very long. I've got the turbo engine ready to go, and when that happens, like I've said before, everything from this V-band clamp up is getting replaced, and I'm going to position this in a much more happy spot to work that out. I just didn't have an O2 bung sitting around. I didn't want to cut that up when it clears, but not with any kind of real safety behind it. V-band clamp, good to go, worked out no problem. I've got my flex joint. That worked out really well. You probably noticed this is not the original one I started out with. The original one I got did not have any flex in it at all, and also the joints didn't have these pre-made set ends on them, so that was kind of that was a little bit of a pain to deal with. So I went ahead and got a different one there. Then you've got the high flow catalytic converter, no big deal there, went together fine. The hangers, which I've talked about. Then this resonator. The resonator went into place, welded up, no problem. It's probably one of the cleaner looking parts of the setup. Then I've got one of my 90 setups, another one. The exhaust kind of follows back over here. We've got another hanger and then a V-band clamp. Now, this V-band clamp allows me to get up and over that rear suspension like I talked about previously. And this one is the only other split in the system besides the front half. So this is just a kind of convenient way of a place to put it. Really, I mean, it has to be there. I wouldn't be able to put this thing together without it. So up and over the rear suspension, we've got another hanger, right there. And then our MagnaFlow muffler. All right, that's pretty self-explanatory of what that does. It muffles things. Anyways, so then I've got a couple of more pieces right here. Now what I had to do here is this is one of my U-joint pieces that was cut down the middle, so I didn't have any room to get this runner here. But, and also this kind of works out where this is the slip joint of that 2.5-inch tubing kit. So what I had is a short section here, so that could go on the inside of that, then this would slip into that. And it worked out there with following the cutout of the car. Now it's kind of hard to capture it right, but when you're standing above it, it looks a lot more symmetric. There. I'm pretty sure that these hangers had some kind of coating or some kind of process done to them that made it really tricky to weld. It just did not want to puddle up or anything like that. So I did use my MIG welder, like I said earlier on, but even then it was really hard to get any kind of connection going between the metal of the exhaust tubing and the hanger. So I did get it eventually, and I had to take the MIG welder, like I said, tack it in place, but that kind of left it really sloppy looking. And everything else performed so well that I really wanted to come back and smooth that work out. I did, but it made for these massive welds to cover up basically all that tack work that was going on right there. But it's definitely something that I could go back and kind of maybe look for a different one. Maybe that's what I would do. Or a different material there. Like I said, it's got to have some kind of coating on it or something like that. They're steel, but I believe they're anodized or something. So anyways, on another note, I did manage to get my muffler lined up with the exact center of the vehicle, which on the original setup, it was not. Okay, with all that being said, let's finally cut to the before and after sound clips that I got of the exhaust system working out. Okay, so as far as the before and after goes, the lower tone that I was trying to get to and trying to get the car to just sing it, that I got to, and that's there, and you can kind of hear it. It's got that low, kind of a throaty, it's a more open sound, and that's perfect. You know, when I really started revving into it, it does have that little raspy high hit that it gets to in the top of the rev range there. And that's something I was trying to avoid, but at the same time, I'm not upset about it at all. I think it's got the perfect amount of character. It's a little bit reserved, and I don't know, I'm just in love with it. All right, so that's gonna wrap up this video. I did not plan on doing this build right now. I actually had planned on doing a handful of other projects or other things, especially with the mid-engine car. But like I said earlier on, the exhaust system was about to fall out of the car, and I've got a video that I wanted to put together that's kind of a tribute to this car, what it means to me and why it's important, and then, you know, future goals and plans and what I've got sitting around for it. I've mentioned several times this video about the turbo engine that I've got built, so that's going to be a whole thing on its own. If you're interested in that stuff coming up on the CRX build, the mid-engine car build, or anything like that, feel free to like, subscribe, and if you're not interested, then don't. It's no big deal. In any case, thanks for watching.